Hi, this is Prophet Ondina, and welcome. And those who tuned in before, welcome back. We are having a series on the family with brilliant women. And today's topic is so important for the families. It is how to heal family relationships. So today we welcome you. And I'm very happy to have Teacher Letty here with us again. She came the last time, so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
So we have a task today. We have a job and we have something to do, which is to help and instruct the people of God, because we counsel many people. You have a lot of experience. Letty, you have a lot of experience in counseling people. So even if you don't have adult children, we're going to talk a lot about adult children today. There's many aspects of relationships in a home, but we're going to pinpoint and focus today on relationships between parents and their adult children. So we have a question to start out. Have you ever had in your office, because when we've ministered to people, especially in our ministry in King Jesus, even at the altar, I've had women come up to me crying, and they're broken and they're hurt because their relationship with their son or their daughter is estranged, and they feel that emptiness. And I want to know if that has been your experience.
Absolutely. Throughout the years of ministry, a lot of the times women come, and sometimes men or families coming to ask for prayer because of broken relationship with their adult children or young adult children. And there are many reasons why this happened. A lot of people are hurt. They have hidden resentment. Sometimes the children against the parents. Sometimes they, as parents, we make mistakes. And the children, sometimes they expect us to be perfect, and we're not perfect.
Exactly.
And those mistakes, if they don't get resolved, if we don't deal with, they go into adulthood, holding on to resentment, pain, and as a result of that, the relationship breaks.
And what a terrible situation to be in, and one that many people feel helpless, because there's no such thing as controlling the reaction of someone. And we know that parents are not perfect, but the parent that is destroyed because their child doesn't reciprocate love, we have a counsel for them. It's don't fret. Don't worry. Why would you tell them not to worry?
I would say not to worry, because there's hope for restoration. The Word of God tells us, that God can restore the brokenhearted. Whatever has happened in your past, I'm a result of that. As a child of a broken home that had a lot of pain in my life.
As you were growing up?
I was growing up. I came from a broken home, and I shared that last time. There was divorce. There was some alcohol involved, and verbal abuse, and I had a lot of resentment. And when my parents got divorced, I felt that my father divorced us also, my sister and I didn't see him. He was not part of my life for a long period of time in my young adult years. And so that relationship was broken. But I am proof that God can restore. You know what happened? During that time, I met Dr. John, my husband today, and we were preparing to get married. I was 20 years old. My father was not really in the picture. I will see him once in a while, but God spoke to him, an unbeliever, and put a burden in him to go and reconcile his relationship with me. And right before our wedding, he came to my house, to where I lived with my mother, and he came and asked for forgiveness. He asked not just me, but my future husband that was sitting next to me. And he said that he recognized that, the mistakes that he made, and he asked for forgiveness.
I want to, before you keep going with what happened, because that is a powerful testimony, and it's going to impact a lot of lives. So your father had made mistakes.
Yes.
But God had a plan for restoration.
Yes.
And maybe the mistake that your parents made, maybe it was neglect, maybe it was a divorce, maybe an affair. There were so many things that causes division between a child and their parent. But it doesn't matter the mistake they make. God is the one that will restore it. And as you said, he put it in the parent's heart first.
Yeah.
That's key.
An unbelieving parent.
An unbelieving parent. So now here you are with your father in front of you and you're about to get married. I can imagine that scene. And I think it was just such a good time for God to bring restoration with your father. And I want to say your father was an unbeliever. I don't want to cry, so don't cry. Your father was an unbeliever, but my father was a pastor. I honor my father every day, but my relationship with him was also broken. It's just a generational gap. The devil makes it so we have communication gaps. And the only one that wins is Satan.
Yep.
Because there is a blessing from the Father to each son and daughter. So I want to stress that even though we're talking about the parent right now, if you're a young person and you're estranged from your father or your mother, this is for you to reconcile. But I want you to continue. So what happened? Here you are seated in your living room.
Yes, I was. So you took me back to that scene. I was 20 years old. I didn't have the experience that I have now, but I knew enough that I had to forgive.
Right.
I knew enough that it was a blessing to forgive. And I forgave. He was able to walk me down the aisle. And God restored that relationship with my father. And to this day, we have a relationship. And it was a beautiful thing that God did.
So that was a key moment in your life. And it was like God is never late. He's always on time. So we want to encourage those who are listening into our conversation, there is a time of restoration. And God is in the business of restoring families. Now, we want to give preventive medicine also, because this is your example and even my example. I remember that I was able to forgive my father, not because he was ever abusive, not because he was hurtful, not because he was unfaithful to my mother, because he wasn't. He was a man of God, but our communication was broken. That is so key in every. I could not understand him and he could not understand me. He would speak and it was like blah blah. You know how Charlie Brown?
Yes. And I understand it because I have raised two daughters who are now adults.
Right.
And there's a time in their lives that it seems like we're speaking different languages.
Exactly.
And when children are growing up, sometimes and they're young adults and they start forming their own ideas and things like that, the enemy tries to bring that broken communication. And sometimes the children don't feel comfortable expressing their emotions, their feelings.
They're afraid.
To their parents, because they start to see
Rejection,
their parents as their enemy. When as parents, all we want is to save our children from making the mistakes that we made at that age. But the enemy tries to infiltrate himself into the relationship to break that communication.
And he speaks into their hearts and their minds that the parent doesn't want what is good for them.
Yes.
So there are mistakes parents make because we're not perfect. However, there is a deep desire in every parent's heart that their children not go down the road that they did. Now, some of the preventive medicine I would recommend to someone would be not only communication, but also respect. Every adult relationship requires respect, and that is no difference when you stop being a father and a mother to a child. As a matter of fact, the Word of God says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is
old, he will not depart from it.
So when they're older is when this is crucial, because you did your homework, you did what was correct in the sight of God. Even it happened with me. I realized what my father had, very strict man. I think that's why I didn't get along with him. I had to have whoever was interested in me, which were very few, but at the beginning, sit in the living room of my house. So we weren't going out alone, that's for sure. So then, since there was that strictness, I misunderstood his intentions. So now one of the preventive medicines is to have good communication, but another one is to have respect. What could you tell about mutual respect?
As they're growing up, to be young adults, like you said. You can't treat them like a child that you
Right.
say, don't do this, and you don't explain anything,
Right.
and they know they just have to obey. The relationship, as they start to grow up, it changes.
It does.
And eventually we will have this, even though it's a parent and child relationship, it's really an adult relationship.
And a friendship
And like,
of
yes,
kinds.
like a friendship. And with any relationship, there are boundaries that shouldn't be crossed. And one of the boundaries is the respect boundary.
Right.
And sometimes children will push and push. But if we allow anyone, not just our children, it could happen with any other adult relationship. If we allowed anyone to cross those boundaries of into disrespect,
Right.
of course it's going to cause problems. I want to read a Bible verse
Okay.
that I have here that has to do with that, and it's Hebrews 12:15, and it says, "See that no root of bitterness springs up and causes trouble." Sometimes the words that we say are disrespectful. Sometimes the
Hurtful.
way, yes, hurtful, disrespect. And if we allow that line to be crossed, then, it's going to end up in breaking a relationship.
And it's from the parent to the child, and later on we'll speak about the
Both.
child to the parent.
I would say both.
Both, of
We're
course.
dealing with a young adult, and it will be mutual respect and lines that can't be crossed.